welcome to another episode of Independent Chick. I'm your host, Dana Foster. Be sure to check out Facebook. We have a bunch of our old episodes there and some other interesting links that you can check out. Follow us on Twitter, IC_Dana or IC_Strength. Today we're talking about mental illness and how it may affect you or your family and some of the stereotypes that are involved with mental illness. And today's guest, we have Melanie Dahling. You might remember her from many of our other panel discussions. And now we're also joined with Sean Miller.
That's right.
And they're going to be sharing their stories. And maybe you could just tell me a little bit, how has, we'll start with you, Melanie, how has mental illness personally affected you?
Well, I think a lot of creative people, because I'm an actor, writer, comedian, we see the world a little bit differently. So sometimes it can be hard when you're coming up against a very 9-to-5 world, and as a result, I think I've had a bit of depression just because I'm not quite sure where I fit, how to make things happen for myself.
So true.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can identify with that.
Yes, totally.
And I think I already had that little seed planted in my brain where I was prone to depression because it does run in my family.
Yeah.
But I think there was definitely that kind of push-pull that affected me.
I get anxiety and depression too. It's something that I've had to work out when I originally started realizing that there was something going on. Went on prescriptions, then I just became numb and I figured this is not for me. So there, I feel, are alternatives to be able to handle depression. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely there are. There were for me, and things that radically changed my life. You know, I was on multiple medications, trialed on all different sorts of medications. On average, I'd be taking 4 at a time, and just took me right out of life, really.
Can you tell us a bit about your story?
Absolutely. 2005, it had been almost 10 years that I'd been struggling with mental illness. I had multiple diagnoses, anywhere from psychosis, depression, OCD, and then schizophrenia. 2005, hospitalization, it was the longest one for 3 months. Doctor said, you won't recover, you'll be medicated, institutionalized for life, and they actually encouraged my wife behind closed doors to leave our marriage. So, yeah, so I mean, it had a huge negative impact on my life.
And how was your family affected? You still are together, happily married?
Yes, absolutely, yeah, my wife chose to stay. I mean, it impacted Doris. I'll just talk about my wife for a little bit. In a very profound way. I mean, we're shooting a documentary of the recovery story, and in it, she talks about how she felt like a grieving widow very often. Like this guy that she had married, just because mental illness affects your personality, I just became this person that she didn't know anymore, right? And I withdrew. Isolation's a huge part of mental illness, so she just felt that she didn't know me anymore, that I had become a kind of like a shell of who I once had been. And trust is eroded because trust is built on communication. So I mean, it had a very negative impact on our marriage. A lot of stress. You know, there was a lot of issues there, and we were headed for no place good unless that situation would turn around. Thankfully, it did.
Do you think that media has affected or perpetuates stereotypes to mental illness?
I think there are so many buzzwords out there now with all of these shows where people kind of flippantly talk about really deep-seated issues, and now people will just throw words out at you, like we were talking about earlier, where if you're acting slightly erratic, someone will be like, well, you're bipolar, and it's like, maybe don't use that word as though it's just whatever, because there are people who are really struggling with that. But I've definitely as a result, sometimes thought things about myself because of the words that were being used to describe me.
Same, yeah.
And it's really unfair that people just decide to be an armchair psychologist, and when you already when you already have these issues, you're like, oh, am I bipolar? Or and it just sends you into a tailspin.
Absolutely.
What about you?
Well, I think that media, they have a huge role to play in how it's perceived in the public, and I think there's a lot of sensationalization. Wow, that wasn't a word. They sensationalize it a lot, and the fact of the matter is, they portray the 2% of cases, the really violent, the really negative cases, as being 100% reality. So I think society buys this thing, this homogenized message, and they think that everybody with mental illness is either crazy, violent, a murderer. And the fact of the matter is that only 2% of people with mental illness actually act out in
2%.
2%, yeah. So we take that as the 100% truth.
Do you know the statistics of how many people are affected in Canada by mental illness?
1 in 5, every year. And the global statistic actually doesn't change much. Some countries it's 1 in 4, but.
So if somebody is watching right now and they may be affected, or a family member that might be think that they may be suffering with a mental illness, what advice would you give to them in steps that they should take?
Excellent question. Get help early. That's the number one. Get help early, because the longer you wait, the harder it is to kind of turn that ship around, and the longer it takes. So early prevention is key, really.
So it's preventable, mental illness?
I would say so, but the thing is how do you know to prevent something unless you have it? So you know what I mean?
Right.
So the best way to do it is, invest in yourself, first of all. Look after yourself. Do things that promote health, for yourself. You have value that is, you're priceless the way you are, and to take care of yourself is what you owe yourself and the rest of the world. It really is. So look after yourself in those ways. Do the things that promote health, and I'd say that's probably the best advice that I could give.
All right. Just before we wrap things up, now you are affected by SAD.
Yeah.
What would you want people to know about this and how it affects you, and the stereotypes, how that affects you?
Personally, with SAD, it can be really confusing because yesterday it was really sunny during the day, and I was like, oh, life's really great right now. And then at night I was like, actually, it's really not. And then I have to observe myself and realize that I'm being affected. And I think I've really been lucky in that I'm a very self-aware person, so I can observe my own behavior. But I think for other people, maybe have someone you can check in with, because I know a lot of people have that kind of like a check-in person who they can text or call and just be like, I'm feeling like this, and then that person can ask them the right questions and be supportive and be loving, but also be like, do you think you're actually really upset about that, or have you been feeling like this lately? And kind of tease apart the real world problems from the way that you're perceiving things in your brain, and just make it a little more malleable, I guess, easier to work with, because sometimes you can't step outside of yourself and see that.
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely hard, and great point. Accountability is huge. The challenge that sometimes happens is that people get what's called anosognosia, which means they have no, and we sometimes think that people that don't admit that they've got a mental health issue are just being difficult. They're being psychologically, they're playing mind games. And anosognosia basically is one of those things where you have a physical limitation, you have no insight into the fact that you are ill.
All right.
So those situations can be very difficult.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us here today and chatting. We want to hear from you as well, so you can check out our social media site. We'll have a question up there. Join in on a conversation, and we'll be right back right after this. Welcome back back to Independent Chick, and today, or now, we're going to be talking about yoga. Do you notice that yoga seems to be the craze right now, and everybody and their mother seems to be a yoga instructor? But today, we have a very qualified yoga instructor. We have Regan Tataryn, and she's going to be taking us through a few moves today and demonstrating some yoga stuff that you can do at home or at work. So, what type of yoga are we doing today?
Okay. Well, the type of yoga that I practice and that I'm certified to teach is called Iyengar yoga.
Okay.
We train for roughly 2 to 5 years to get our first level of certification. And we have a direct link with our guru in India, BKS Iyengar, who the yoga is named after. And so all of our teaching comes directly from him and many senior teachers in Canada and around the world.
All right, so today we are going to do a routine that you can do in the office. Can you take us through that?
Absolutely. So we're going to have a seat on these chairs, which is a prop that we often use in Iyengar yoga. You'll sit right to the edge of the chair, and you can do this really easily in your office. Take your feet under your knees, take the hands on the chair back.
Okay.
That's it. Now press the feet down, the buttocks down, and then lift the chest up. Lift the chest, look straight ahead, and roll the shoulders back.
Breathing should be in part of it.
Well, you just breathe normally in the beginning. Yeah, you don't want to go too crazy. Take the arms overhead. Definitely you want to breathe though.
Okay.
Straighten the arms and lift. Use the arms lifting up to lift the torso.
All right.
And then bring the arms down.
And then down.
And then stretch the arms out in front.
Okay.
Interlock the hands all the way. And then press the palms forward, keeping the arms straight. Chest lifting. Take the arms overhead. Press the hands up. And lift the sides of the body up. And then release the hands back down. We'll do the second side. Take the arms forward. Interlock the opposite way. Press the palms forward.
Okay.
And then take the arms and stretch them overhead.
Didn't we just do that?
Yep, the other
okay.
side. The other side. There's 2 sides to interlock the hands. So you might have gone to your comfortable side.
I don't think I did that.
And release the hands and come down. Okay, and now to twist on the chair, take the hand on the inside of your chair back, or you can also take it on the seat, and then cross your opposite arm over. Lift the chest, lift the torso, and turn. Roll the right shoulder back, and turn the torso.
Okay.
And then come back to center. And we'll do the second side. Cross the opposite arm across. Take the left hand on the inside of the chair, lift,
Okay.
and turn. That's it.
Okay.
Ground the buttocks down and turn. And then come back to center. And if you want to let the head sort of be a little bit more relaxed and stretch the back a little bit more, you can take the legs wide, sit a little bit further back into the chair, and then just extend the torso forward.
All right.
Lengthen it forward.
I already feel more relaxed. Now, why is it? Does yoga work? Obviously, does. Why do yoga? Why do yoga?
Why do yoga?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, there's a lot of reasons you might want to come to yoga. Some people come for the physical benefits. Some people come for the mental and emotional benefits. No matter what reason you come for, you will experience both, whether you realize it right away or not. And by doing the poses and holding the poses, the mind has a single point of focus. And in this sort of hectic life we lead, there's a lot of distractions all the time. So over time, the yoga on the mat translates into yoga in daily life and being more aware and being more calm.
Things that people should take note of: should they hydrate? Should they wear certain clothes, a certain brand? No,
Depends on the type of yoga you do. In Iyengar yoga, we are dressed more modestly, as you can see. So we like to be able to see your knee joint fairly well, so either tights or shorts.
Oopsie.
Yeah, so yours are a little bit, we'd make you roll them up if you came to class. And you want to refrain from eating for sure a minimum of 2 hours before.
I failed already.
And hydrate before and after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you so much for watching us. So make sure you're doing your research if you're trying to do some yoga. Make sure you've got some of that research. Now, we want you to join in that conversation too. Tell us about your yoga experience. We'll be right back right after this. I'm Dina Foster. Thank you for watching Independent Chick. And as you can see, I'm joined with the lovely Gabrielle Olgivie. You might remember her from previous episodes as a panelist. Thank you so much. Or maybe you've seen her perform down at the Forks. I don't know. So tell me a little bit. You have a new album out.
Yes.
How is that going? What is it all about?
It's it's electronic jazz, and it was something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and it was just the right time to kind of put it together. And we found the DJ, and he's going to be here performing with us today. And it's just
This is your
really
first
great.
album?
First EP, yeah, first thing ever.
EP.
Yeah.
Is there a difference?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not really. Not nowadays.
I don't know the
There's
lingo.
7 million terms for everything now.
Okay.
You just have to. Yeah.
This is your passion. This is your dream.
I love it.
How did you do it? How did it come together?
Well, I guess I was always singing when I was young, and I finally decided, I got the chutzpah up, and I went and I trained with a coach when I was 13, and then I started guitar, and I started writing my own songs. And of course, when you're a teenager, you write the worst songs in the world, and worst. And then you get better, right? And then you continue, and you forge through, and you play a couple shows, and you fall on your face, and then things start to really build up after that. So now it was just the right time to really put something together that I felt.
What's the album about?
Well, it's inspired by the Verve Remix series. So that was put out in the early new millennium, and it was something that was done just with a lot of old jazz recordings of some of the greats, Nina Simone, Ella Fitzgerald, and then they got some of the best DJs in the world at the time to really remix them, and I just loved it. And it's something that, those songs that stay on your iPod for 10 years? Those were some of those songs, And so when my vocal coach, Helen White, came to me and said, hey, we're going to record an album, what do you want to do?
Awesome.
I was like, well, take a listen to this.
Yeah.
And so here's the album today.
Awesome. That's so exciting. All right, so you're going to be performing a song from your album.
Yes.
Okay, what is it?
It's Água de Beber. It's a Portuguese song. It means water to drink. And in fact, the DJ Joe Silva, is Portuguese himself, so he knows all too well the language.
All right.
So yeah.
Thank you.
Your love is rain in my heart, the flower. I need your love or I will die. My very life is in your power. Will I wither or fade or balloon to the sky? Água de beber, camará. Água de beber, água de beber, oh camará. Shava de die, ya do da do ya, beba do die, ya do da do ya, beba do die, sha do die, ya do die. Ya do da do ya, beba do die, ya do da do ya, beba do die, sha do die, ya do die. Sha da do da ya, ba we ya ba, da ya do da do ya, ba ya do da do we. The rain can fall on distant deserts. The rain can fall upon the sea. The rain can fall upon as if the rain is too far, let it fall on me. Água de beber, camará. Água de beber, água de beber, oh camará. Água de beber, camará. Água de beber, água de beber, oh camará. Aquaji bebe, aquaji bebe, camara. Aquaji bebe, aquaji bebe, oh camara. Aquaji bebe, camara. Aquaji bebe, aquaji bebe, oh camara. Aquaji bebe, oh camara. Aquaji bebe, aquaji bebe, aquaji bebe, camara.
Welcome back to Independent Chick. It's our very brand new segment called How To. Have you ever wondered how to date? Well, I have. And today we have Matthew Povey, who's going to be talking about how to date. So we're going to take you through a 5-step process, as he is a life mentor and you have helped few people mentor them in their relationships.
Of course, yes.
All right. What is the first step do you often give as advice?
Yeah, there's a lot of great steps to start off with, but one of the things I generally do start with is establish a friendship level. So it's really easy for us to be very charmed by the opposite person, especially if it's a new relationship. It just seems kind of easy just to
show your best part.
Exactly,
yeah.
Right? And so what you want to do is you actually want to establish a platonic friendship as much as possible.
How do you do that?
Well, it's very tough, I know. But essentially what you can do is go on dates that you normally go on dates with a friend.
Okay.
And as you build that up and you get a higher friendship level with that person, then you can take it to the next step, which is romantic.
Okay, well, how do you divide that? What would our second step be?
Well, our second step would be to guard your heart throughout this process, really.
Right. So if you're trying to establish a friendship, then it would be really important to make sure it doesn't go into that romantic aspect right away.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this where we're going?
Yeah, no, totally.
Okay.
Yeah,
guard your heart.
Yeah. Guard your heart.
Okay.
And so what essentially this metaphor is saying that whenever you are dating someone, that person is coming to the very most tender part of who you are, which is your heart. So you don't want someone who's untrustworthy or clumsy or devious to come near you. So you have to guard your heart. So don't think about what that next step is in the relationship. Are you?
Okay. All right. So moving on to the third step.
And so this next step here is very much like the second step, which is discipline your mind so that you remain objective.
I love that. How do you do that?
So one of the ways is just to understand that you have a life outside of the dating scene.
Be independent.
Exactly.
Okay.
How many friends have you known that find this special someone and then fall off the face of the earth?
I personally have never done that. Right.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
My friends, yeah. It's awful, right? So your health, your psychological health is based on the community that you surround yourself with. And so as soon as you get just entangled with the relationship, it's really hard for you to stay objective. So take your time with the relationship. Don't go on a date the next day. Take a couple of days off to think about it. Hang out with your friends and make sure that you're being faithful to your friends too, because you'll need them.
Give it some breathing room. All right, step 4.
Step 4 is something a little bit different. It's called serving together.
Okay.
Okay, so this is really a golden window into the future for couples. If you serve together, if you have a common goal.
Volunteering together.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right? If you are able to see how you work together as a team, because that is what a relationship is.
Right.
So is that person carrying their own weight? Are you carrying your own weight? What are some of the troubles that are happening during this time? And so we'll be able to highlight some of the things you guys can work out and maybe some of the things that you guys that do really well at.
Okay, you could go on Survivor, maybe.
Maybe.
All right. Now, last step before we wrap things up, step 5.
This is my favorite one.
Okay.
Don't let fear control you.
Okay. What does that mean?
Okay. Well, we all have insecurities, and oftentimes
True.
we behave out of being insecure. right? And so being fearful essentially is the decay, is the cancer that will take away everything from your relationship. It'll affect virtually every part of your relationship. So you'll compromise your character, your morals. You'll change into a person that you're not normally. And so there's something inside of us that we've been given, we've been made a certain way that we have to live that out. And so if we're changing ourselves, if we're becoming someone that we're not, we're denying the very thing that we were never meant to be. Does that make sense?
What were we never meant to be? Fearful?
Exactly. Okay. We're denying, sorry, I should say that again. We're denying the things that we were supposed to be. Okay. And we're accepting the things that we're never meant to be.
Okay.
Yeah, and so don't be fearful.
All right, don't be fearful, ladies or gentlemen that are watching. So quickly, step 1, establish a friendship level. Step 2, guard your heart. Step 3, discipline your mind to remain objective. Step 4, serve together, volunteer together. And step 5, don't let fear control you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
This has been How To on Independent Chick. Follow us on Twitter, IC_strength, or you can like us on Independent Chick.